What's up, everybody? Arrg the Pirate here, and today we're going to talk about the support role. Both of these heroes have very different kits and playstyles. Naresh is more of a tank. He gets into the middle of the action while offering a little bit of heals, movement speed, and a couple of stuns for his team. Muriel, on the other hand, is very good at keeping her team alive. She offers 3 different shields and a slow effect. Naresh is a great support hero. He offers a lot of crowd control effects, but he can be harder to build a deck for, especially if you are a newer player. But let's go ahead and take a look at his kit. Thunk is the first ability you should unlock with Naresh. It is a ranged stun that can be used to knock people out of ultimates, close the gap on fleeing enemies, or even be used to prevent ganks. Song of My People is the next ability I would recommend for Naresh. Song of My People is an AoE heal that anybody standing within this glowing green circle will receive heals. And the heals are almost a 1-for-1 trade for health and mana. At the beginning level, you get 10 health regen for 11 mana, and it scales up by the same amount for every level. So at max level, it's 40 health regen for 44 mana. March is an AoE speed boost. It creates a circle, and every ally in that circle receives a small speed boost that lasts for 2.5 seconds. This is great for closing the gap on enemies or running away. Lastly, Naresh's ultimate is called Crash Bang Boom, and it creates a circle around him that does a small amount of damage, and if he's able to complete the full Crash Bang Boom, it ends it with a knockup. This is great for team fights when you can run in and ultimate the whole team, everybody gets knocked up, and your ADC comes in and just secures a bunch of kills. Now, one thing newer players use Naresh for is they'll run in and ult. This is actually not the best thing to do. What you want to do is thunk a hero, preferably one of the squishier heroes, and then Crash Bang Boom, which is what I do here. I use my March to close the gap, I thunk the Murdoch, then I use my Crash Bang Boom, and by the time he gets up, I've got him dead. Now, let's take a look at Muriel's kit. Muriel offers shields instead of Naresh's health, as well as she doesn't have any stuns, but she is very good at providing shields and means for keeping her team alive. The first ability I would recommend getting for Muriel is Consecrated Ground. Consecrated Ground is a bubble that provides all allies with shields and does a little damage to all enemies once it explodes. It has a long range, and so it can be put on heroes when you're running up to save them. Serenity is Muriel's square ability, and is a orb that she fires, dealing ability damage and applying a slow to the enemy for 3 seconds. Alacrity is a small long-range shield that can be applied to one hero. It not only gives them a small shield, but a speed boost that decays over 2 seconds. This is great for getting heroes out of fights. Lastly, we have Muriel's ultimate. Reversal of Fortune allows Muriel to fly to an ally. Whether they're high health or low health, it does not matter. But once she activates the ability and chooses the target, they instantly get a shield. During that time, she's able to fly over and she lands directly on top of them. Once she's there, she can use all of her abilities to get that hero a shield or help them run away with her alacrity. She can even potentially turn the tables and secure that kill by being there and providing shields for her teammate. Muriel's ultimate is a great tool to have. Now let's talk fundamentals. If you're using the beginner's deck, you can get the recommended first 3 cards, but I would suggest going into manual mode and picking up your ward first. In PvP matches, a lot of ADCs run 0 wards, and most that do run wards don't pick them up till a little later in the game. I recommend getting wards and putting them down so you can get vision on the map. I will talk more advanced tactics with wards in a later video, but with the beginning deck, I would get a ward and go and place them down. I like to start with my first ward right here, the one at the base of the river, because it protects from their side of the jungle as well as ours, and that one that's closer to our jungle side, most of the time our jungler is on our side and he can give us a little heads up. For that first ward, I like putting it in the river. Now if you see here, I am not attacking any minions at all. I'm poking the Bellica to try to get the enemy minions to come back so our ADC can farm. Now of course this is another bot match, so it's not going as smoothly as a PvP match would, but this is kind of the basic idea. You want to stand around and let your ADC farm. Now one thing to know is if your ADC is just shooting like crazy and they're not securing last hits, go ahead and take it upon yourself to secure those last hits. That way at least one person is getting some CXP. If your ADC is just being super aggressive with the lane and killing everything, don't worry about it. Just do your job and secure those last hits. Now at 3 minutes, I like to go get the river buff. Sometimes ADCs get upset about that, but it's my personal opinion that if he leaves the lane and misses 3 or 4 enemy minion last hits, it's really not worth him leaving. You get 80 points per minion, and so if you miss 3, right there is 240 points. You only get 300 for the gold buff. One thing to note is all supports don't do much damage. Their main job is to keep their team alive, and they really ramp up once they get their ultimate ability. Not so much with card points, but hitting level 5 is when they really start to shine. Now I chased this kill. I probably shouldn't have, and in a PvP match I would have most likely died. But for this bot match, I go ahead and chase it just so I can get a few more points. Now this back ward I placed earlier has gone down, but I do have 2 wards. We have our ward at the river on the safe lane, so I go ahead and place a ward closer to mid lane. This gets vision on the river buff, as well as lets the mid laner know if someone's going to come in and gank him. Running back to my lane, I see Murdoch and Bellica get into a little fight. I go ahead and throw one of my shields up just to protect him. I know he's backing and he's at half health, so I'm not too concerned about him dying, but that shield just kept that last little bit of damage from Bellica. Now, my ADC just backed, and I'm left in this lane by myself. I've got full health, and I'm pretty full on mana, but I don't want to push this lane, so what I'm going to do is just try to get last hits. By leaving this lane where it is, we're going to let the farm come back to where our ADC can farm. And by him being gone, I'm not stealing any of his farm from him. When the ADC is in lane, you really want to avoid taking minions from him. Let him have the minions. You will get farm from the junglers Amber League. Although it might not be as much, you still get points from getting assists and things like that as well. So let the ADC have his farm so he can do his job and get to that carry position to where he's just 2-3 shotting people. The last thing I really need to stress is you are the team's eyes. Anytime you're in lane with any hero, you need to have your eyes on the mini-map and on the potential gank areas. Like right now, our Murdoch is close to that fog wall. If a Chimera was on the other side of that fog wall, he would be able to ambush that Murdoch, and I would have little I could do to prevent him. But I can say, hey, I see someone over there in ping retreat, or something along those lines. You always want to be positioned in an area where you can control a situation if something happens. Like for instance right now, if someone does come through this wall, I can get a shield on him and, you know, get my alacrity on him to speed him up and let him get away. Ward placement and de-warding is also a big job of a support. So not only do you need to keep eyes on your team, make sure everybody's healthy, if someone's getting low, go over and help them out, you also need to place wards constantly. And if an enemy team has a ward up, take those wards out. One important thing to note though is killing a ward is never worth dying. If you go place a deep ward in a jungle and see an enemy has a ward up and you get 1 or 2 hits on it and you notice the team rotating towards you, run away. Do not die to kill a ward. That's going to wrap it up for my support video. Now, a support hero is not the flashiest and most exciting hero to play, especially when you're first getting into the game. But almost every match that does not have a support is going to struggle, and it's going to be hard to get the win. Now, I would recommend getting good, or at least decent, with at least one support hero. That way, in case you are in a draft where the only role left is a support, you're capable of at least playing one and kind of having an idea of what to do. Now, I did not talk about FaZe in this video, and currently FaZe is my favorite support. But the problem with FaZe is her pull, and for newer heroes that don't quite understand, hey, positioning and things like that, if you do run FaZe, you can actually hurt your team because you can reposition people in bad spots. I would recommend trying one of the more traditional support heroes and then maybe going for a FaZe once you kind of grasp the idea. Well, as always guys, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment and I'll be more than happy to get back with you. And if you enjoyed the video and it helped, give me some love, and if I can improve on anything, let me know. Well, I'll see you in the next video.